France 24's Doug Herbert is in Washington. He's been following all the latest for us from there. He joins me now from a very early, very cold Washington, D.C. Doug, thanks for getting up and getting out in this freezing cold. I mean, tell us a bit more about what's happening there today.
Morning. Well, I'll tell you about the cold that's happening here. I wish one of those first executive orders, GD, were to let journalists broadcast from inside, because it really is freezing here. Not an understatement. You know, first time they're indoors, right, since Reagan 40 years ago, 1985. Now, back then, it was minus 13 Celsius. So we're not quite there yet today. It's minus 6 right now in Washington, which is cold enough. But, you know, they're all going to be inside the rotunda. But there are a lot of thousands of other people who are going to be freezing, I suspect, outside the Capital One Arena, where the seating capacity is only 20,000. So there is a big chill setting in, and this is, even by Washington standards, really called an Arctic blast descending just in time. The reason they move these ceremonies inside. But beyond the weather, you know, we've been going through Washington, you know, in the past couple of days. People here are determined to see this ceremony. They're not letting the cold deter them, and I suspect there are going to be thousands, if not tens of thousands, on the streets around the arena where the public viewing will be, and even in and around the Capitol, even though that's all barricaded and fenced up for now.
So Donald Trump set to be inaugurated a little bit later today at about 12 noon there, 6 p.m. here in Paris. After that, Trump has promised to unleash a series of executive orders. We were talking before, undoing part of Joe Biden's legacy. I mean, what can we expect?
Well, first of all, just anecdotally, he's going to be sworn in at 11:47, and under the Constitution, it has to be done by noon, but he's actually sort of stealing 13 minutes off of Joe Biden's presidency. So he might start those executive orders even before his official mandate begins. What we can expect, Jeannie, and all kidding aside, and what actually not expect, what many of his critics really fear is he is going to waste no time setting about in a dramatic root and branch overhaul of the way the U.S. government works, the way it does business, reshaping really American society along the way. We know about the deportation orders. He's going to seal the border. He's going to perhaps declare a health emergency in order to be able to rush perhaps extra military resources to the U.S. Mexico border. But he's also going to take aim at environmental restrictions, lift some of those environmental regulations that have been passed under the Biden administration to open up public lands for more oil drilling. And he's also going to sign some orders affecting how civil servants in the federal government work, exposing them perhaps to fewer protections than they have now. The job of being a federal civil servant in the U.S. government is going to become much more political than it's ever been in America until now, until this presidency.
So, Doug, this, of course, comes one day after Donald Trump broke with another tradition in his style. He held this massive rally there in Washington, speaking along with other big names like Elon Musk. I mean, tell us a bit more about that rally last night.
The rally last night is exactly what you said. You know, traditionally, the first words, the first sense of a new president's ambitions for the next 4 years is in the inaugural address that we'll hear in a few hours. But this time, he sort of preempted that with this very boisterous, almost campaign-style rally at the Capital One Arena, not far from here in downtown Washington. He basically was rousing. He savaged Joe Biden's legacy, talking about how tomorrow, meaning today, the curtain will be lowered on 4 years of American decline, promising that America will be rich, prosperous again. And he also promised his supporters that you will all be, quote, extremely happy with the flurry, the blizzard of executive orders that he is going to sign, the ones we were just talking about, to reshape the way America does business. You know, the Donald Trump 8 years ago when I was here, came to the presidency, if not hesitant, at least with some advisors around him who were able to give a little bit of pushback. This time he doesn't face any of that resistance within his inner circle. If anything, even going into today, there were reports that a lot of his advisors were saying, Mr. President-elect, spread out your executive orders over a couple of days. You don't have to do them all at once. He said, I am doing them all at once in the first minutes, in the first hours. He wants to show his supporters that he's learned the lessons from the past. He is not letting anyone slow him down. He has not let anyone apply the brakes to his agenda, which he says is to make America great again. But a lot of Americans fear the consequences of what that will mean in terms of their daily lives and also the ripple effects beyond America for the rest of the world.
All right, Doug, thanks so much. I'm going to let you get back inside and warm up a little bit because we're going to be checking back in with you throughout the day there out of Washington as America gets ready for that inauguration of Donald Trump a little bit later today.